Thank you, Kate. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming along in Perth, the Gold Coast, and for those attending online. I'd like to tell you a story today. This company was listed in 2012 specifically to look for large new mines concealed by cover, similar to what you can see on the left-hand side and middle of that opening slide. I lived in Kalgoorlie for 22 odd years, and what impresses you quite a lot is that, and what you get the feeling for, is that there are a lot of large deposits concealed by cover. Now, we happened to find one in 2016. It looks like the slide you see on the right, and what it is a typical Archean multi-lode style deposit. Now, we've got 3 rigs running continuously now, and we're looking to beef that up. We drill quite aggressively, and the reason for that is because we've had a discovery every quarter for the last 5 years. Now, the reason for that is because these lodes are spread over a large area. The usual disclaimer. Firstly, the location. You can see we're situated in the heart of Australian gold mining, only 100 kilometres from Kalgoorlie. This is a completely virgin discovery, but it's sitting between 2 operating gold mines. What makes Breaker different? Now, some of the reasons are summarised at the top. Firstly, yes, we're in a Tier 1 location. Some of the other elements I'll go through shortly, but I just wanted to, I guess in the first 2 slides, give you a bird's eye view of the company, both its project and corporately. The next 7 slides, I'll take you through what I see as the catalysts, and I think that's why we're all attending today. What's going to make the share price move? And the technical bits at the back. So I may go through that quite quickly because I want to take my time and just tell you a bit more about the company. Okay, so what's different about Breaker? This isn't just a discovery, this is a new gold camp. We own it 100%. Unusually, we took the step, unusual for some I should say, we took the step of early de-risking. Now I'm the 3rd largest shareholder. I think like and operate like a shareholder. If I'm going to put my money in the ground, I want to know, is that expenditure warranted? Is it going to be a mine? Well, this is going to be a mine. Best proof, because we haven't put out a PFS as yet, is that half of our maiden resource, which we put out in April 2018, was in a $1,000 Aussie pit shell. Optimum profit, maximum profit that is. Okay, so this is going to be a mine. Our 80% of this resource is indicated. We drilled this 250,000 metres until we understood it. The interesting thing is at the end of that 250,000 metres, this is completely open. We did 3 phases of metallurgy. DFS level metallurgy. We've got PFS level enviro, hydro, and other studies. So what else is different? We took this really typical Australian approach in de-risking a mining operation. We've done that. We've got that's under our belt. We have baseload feed for a very large gold plant. Now what's happened, some very significant US investors have come in and overlaid the typical North American approach, and that is make it bigger, make it better. That's what we're doing. Since the start of this year, we've identified 3 new areas of discovery. One of them's underneath the main deposit, and the other 2 are nearby. We control 50 kilometres of strike. Corporate summary, we are well cashed up. At the end of September, we have or had $22 million cash with no debt. Market cap in the order of $64 million. The people running this company, and personally I think that aspect is as important as any project. You're looking at long-term mining industry guys. My experience is half miner, half explorer. I like what I do. And that's the case with the metallurgist Mike Kidney, with the mining engineer and former mine manager at Paddington, Linton Putland. It's the same with resource lawyer Mark Edwards, and it's the same with Eric Vincent, who is Electrum's nominee on the board. If you haven't heard of Electrum, the people running that are the ex-Home State guys. The person behind the fund itself is Thomas Kaplan, who has a habit of identifying projects with potential and making them grow. Paulson and Co, well, we're talking John Paulson here, the man behind the movie The Big Short. Franklin Templeton, they manage over $900 billion. Paul Stevens, West Coast, San Francisco fund manager. So I touched on some of the aspects that make Breaker different, but let's have a closer look and identify what the catalysts are going to be. Now remember that heading on slide number 2, location, sure, but grade, scale and growth potential. This one's interesting. The market is currently valuing our indicated open pit ounces, and I stress the word open pit because we've deliberately diluted the grade to maximise the profit in the open pit. This is going to go underground. It's a high-grade deposit. Anyway, more of that in a moment. I don't believe the US investors have come in for a 20 or 30%. Now, Benjamin Graham, 1934, a well-known financial commentator, said that the share market is like a voting machine in the short term and a weighing machine in the long term. Well, these funds have weighed us, but the market hasn't had yet the opportunity to do that. And I noticed the subtitle on this poster, the front of this podium, is Closing the Gap Between Investors and Funds. What I have here is a tabulated summary of Breaker's drilling over the last 5 years. Those little blue annotations at the top of the columns are various lode discoveries. Some of the same deposits, some off to the north, some off to the right-hand side, to the east. Again, one discovery every quarter for the last 5 years. That is very unusual and tells me as a technical person, tells me if I was a non-technical person that something is happening here. And that is after 260,000 metres. So still going. Okay, focus on the grade. The open pit grade is 1.4 on the indicated side. Now the indicated mineralisation is shown in orange. To get a feel for the scale of this, and this is what throws some people, is that the Sydney Harbour Bridge there is 500 metres long and is shown to scale. That indicated zone is pretty well going to match where the open pit is going to be, which says that it's going to be at least because it's still growing, 2.5 kilometres long and at least 250 metres deep. Now the interesting thing is, I said this is a high-grade deposit. Okay, let's get rid of the low grade that we're adding to the near-surface mineralisation in the open pit, and suddenly underneath it's high grade. So after we finish open pitting, we're going to go underground. And the interesting thing is all of these intersections that you see below the open pit resource have been generated, 90% of them, in the last year or so. We're doing step-outs on 300 metre spacing and hitting good stuff, and now we're closing up for resource drilling. So those 3 rigs I mentioned, they're all on resource drilling. The rigs I want to add are for further discovery. So we have over 2.5 or 2.2 kilometres of high-grade lode material below that pit, not in the resource. So the resource is obviously going to grow. What are some of the other things that these US funds, I believe, are seeing? Now, what we have here is we're looking side-on at the resource, again, but it's shown at the same scale as plutonic and Darlow. Now note that name on the bottom, Homestake, just shows up there. Now these are the guys, the guys running the Electrum Fund are ex-Homestake guys. They know what they're talking about. What this slide says is this deposit is already large, but it's still getting bigger. These next two slides, okay, addressing the growth potential. What we have on the left is all our RC and diamond drilling, all of it, the whole shooting match, colour-coded by maximum gold in the hole. What we have on the right is all our air core drilling, which we use to locate the RC and diamond drilling on the left, summarised by end of hole gold. Remember, there's no outcrop here. There's nothing, essentially nothing sticking out of the ground. We use the air core drilling to guide the RC and diamond drilling. So you can see the main, on the left, you can see the main deposit in the middle. You can see what is a new discovery where the third rig is, the RC rig is currently doing resource drilling. You can see some of the intersections are summarised at the top, and some of the intersections for another area along the granite contact, very lightly drilled, but as hitting stuff, okay, essentially 3 large areas of discovery. That area on the contact, that is lighting up in the air core drilling over 12 kilometres, not only in gold, but silver, tungsten and moly. So none of that's in the resource, and multiple targets that are lighting up in the air core drilling. So look at Copi, look along that granite contact, aren't yet drilling, haven't been RC or diamond drilled rather. Stand out again, still on the growth potential. All of our RC and diamond drilling is summarised on the left-hand side. It covers 9 kilometres. That 9 kilometre system is completely open, yet the air core drilling on the right is saying that it's probably more like 30 kilometres. The extra rigs we're going to bring in, we're going to keep those 3 rigs on resource drilling. The extra rigs we're bringing in are to drill some of those targets within the 9 kilometres, but importantly to start to open up some other areas of discovery in the 30 kilometres. Okay, the balance of this slide, and I've got my eye on the time, is more about, okay, I've just given you an overview. I want to take you a bit more about a bit of background, give you a feel for what the deposit looks like. So the cover that you see here, it's only 5 metres thick. It's enough to hide this thing, but it's not enough to interfere with the mining. This is basically our background since listing. There is a discovery story there. I don't have the time to go into the detail, but the important thing here is that it wasn't until, in the last bullet, it wasn't until 1920 that, 2020, only 100 years out, it's only this year that we stepped out from the main deposit in any serious way. And now we've got 3 large areas of discovery and emerging discovery. Again, the focus on early de-risking. We drilled this to the point where there was no ambiguity. And the reason for that's quite simple. If you go mining, what you have to do, if your intent on de-risking is prove continuity. If you prove continuity, you can go and mine it, open pit or underground. We've proved continuity. Now we're using that detailed information near surface to track this down successfully at depth and to identify new targets along strike. This is the dominant mineralisation style in Australia. A couple of cross sections that everybody understands. We've got 2 of them 40 metres apart. The bright green stuff is the iron-rich dolerite, which the gold loves. It loves it for the same reason that it does in the Golden Mole. Same here, Paddington, St Ives, they're all pretty much the same. Importantly, what you can see, all that orange stuff inside the bright green stuff are lodes. We've got 100 of these sections, spaced either 20 metres apart or 40 metres apart. Now, as a miner, what is important to me is the width there. The 150 metre width of stacked loads means that the pit floor is going to be 150 metres wide, minimum. We can decide what strip ratio we want in the pit, because under that, we're going to go underground. Again, nature's gift. It's a de-risking gift, high grade. You can take each of these loads, and we've done it, and I'll show you, either the flat loads, which are stacked, one on top of the other, the steep loads, which are stacked, one on top of the other, and the same with the west loads that you can see best on the top right. You can take each of them and join them up, wireframe them. That proves continuity. The deeper intersections, some of the recent hits, we are currently doing resource drilling there. We don't have a time frame in the resource. My personal best guess is somewhere in the region of 6 to 12 months, but that is dictated by the geology, not by a timeline. The flat loads hang together. And you can see that here. When they hang together, that's very important. It means you can go underground. If you can go underground, you can add multiples to any profit that you have already in your open pit. The steep loads hang together, and you can see some of the hits summarised in the core tray there. 3 phases of metallurgy. This rock isn't too hard, so you don't spend too much energy grinding it. Good recovery in fresh ore oxide, no different. High gravity gold, which drops out quickly without any deleterious elements. So in summary, it is a rare emerging gold field in a Tier 1 location. We're well funded and supported by some very prominent US shareholders. We have a base case mining situation already. All we're doing is making it better and more profitable and likely bigger. We have 3 growth areas that are going to underpin the resource growth, and where resource drilling is happening right now. And that will lead, of course, to ongoing news flow and value build for our shareholders. So thank you for your attention today.